Yo, what's good, y'all? Your boy Justin Henry here on the J Hen Fantasy Network, Justin Henry Show, trying to get this thing all dialed in for y'all. How y'all living, man? See, a lot of y'all got to the chat already. Hopefully, we can get through some start sit questions. We got a game for me tomorrow, but for y'all tonight, we got the Vikings and we got the Chargers. Chargers 3.5 point favorites. We got 44 on the spread. So I was gonna go through the games. Um, in a little bit here. Going to go through the games. Also wanted to cover some basketball stuff too. We had some major breaking news in basketball. So if this is your first time here, best way you can support the channel is by dropping a sub. Make sure y'all hit the sub button here. And appreciate everybody who got to the chat. I'm going to get to these questions first before we get into the games. But we do have a lot of teams on bye, so I understand there's going to be a lot of questions about who do I start, etc. Right? And there's probably going to be some fringe options here. So as we get into this week, man, there's going to be some tough decisions you have to make with some very, very mediocre players. Understand that's just the nature of fantasy, and your opponent probably going through the same thing as well. All right. Let's get to the supers first. What's good, LV? What's good, man? You said start two in non-PPR, Kamani Vidal, Stephon Diggs, and Chase Brown. I'll just go with the backs here. And I know Diggs could pop off for 100, but at least this gives you a little bit of like if they get a touchdown. I think with the matchup here, New England going up against Cleveland, it could be a slower matchup, honestly. And we know Cleveland's secondary isn't, it's a pretty good secondary. It's not very, rewarding for receivers. So I'd rather just go with the running backs, try to hope for a little bit higher scoring with like the Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Flacco. And then obviously with Kamani Vidal tonight, getting in the end zone as well would be the goal there. So those are the two I would go with. I go with both the backs, especially non-PPR. Jazz Falcon was good. He said, if no AJB, would you go with Xavier Legette, Jawan Jennings, Hutchinson, or Alec Pierce? And now, yes, AJ Brown missed practice for the second day. Good news is that he was actually at practice, though. So that's one thing we don't have to we can at least have in our corner is maybe he gets on the field for Friday and then he's good to go for the weekend. So that would be the ultimate hope there. But if he cannot play, I think Xavier Legette's a strong flex option here. Jawan Jennings is kind of there too, but you got Kittle, you got CMC, and we don't know if it's going to be Mac or if it's going to be Brock. Brock is back at the practice field now. So kind of would stay away from Alec Pierce, even though, he's seen some stuff downfield. But I would, I definitely is not going. I'm not going with Xavier Hutchinson, even if Nico Collins is out. So I think for me, I'm going Legette here. And I think Legette just gives you a little bit of upside, especially if it's Andy Dalton, if it does become a little bit more of a pass-happy game, Carolina. You know what I'm saying? It feels like there's more possibility of that against Buffalo. So for me, I am leaning towards Legette here. Hopefully, A.J. Brown is able to get you some fantasy points. My goat coming to save the day, trying to make a push. Listen. I hope right now you're not giving up, right? Like 1-6 and 2-5. This is a pivotal week for a lot of teams, especially even the teams with, we do got a lot of buys this week. Appreciate you tapping in though, LV. Appreciate you, homie. Cody was good. He said, Jayhan, what up? Which true deeper league wide receiver plays you like the best out of Kendrick Bourne, Alec Pierce, Legette, and Jalen Noel? If Nico and Kirk Cousins, yes, both of those guys need to be out in order for it to be viable. And Jalen Noel, came off a 70-yard game, but he just doesn't profile as like a big touchdown guy for me. Even a heavy volume play, I don't really trust anybody in this Texans offense outside of Nico Collins, really. That's why you don't really see me talk a lot about Woody Marks or Nick Chubb or Dalton Schultz or anybody on this team. I just don't really like the offense. So even CJ Stroud, it's like I haven't really even talked about him a lot. So for me, Legette is probably the play here. And then Kendrick Bourne, just if Mac Jones is there, they have a special connection. So I know he didn't have the game that he had a couple weeks ago once Kittle came back, and Kittle didn't do anything. But it's just him being on the field also takes separate attention away from, game script-wise. You're trying to get the ball in his hands. You're getting in McCaffrey's hands, and you see he had a 40-point fantasy day. So for me, I think when it comes to Kendrick Bourne, he's probably the next up here if Mac plays. If Mac Jones is not the starter and they do decide to go with Brock Purdy, then maybe I'm going Jalen Noel, just a little bit of hope of upside. I think Alec Pierce is just really volatile as far as what he produces on a week-to-week basis. Jay, what up, Finnegan? What's good, bro? What's good? He said, since the last time we talked, I was able to trade away Hawk, and I got Pearsall. Good job. You got CD, Ladd, Ted, Wandale, and Pearsall. Excellent work here. Hopefully Pearsall can be back on the field sooner than later. Yo, Jason, what's good, bro? He said, I'm down Neighbors and Hill, now running with Rome and Zay. Still, it could be worse. JT, Warren, ETN, and Dobbins been streaming quarterbacks and tight ends. Should I move ETN and or Dobbins for another piece, maybe a wide receiver in half point PPR? So feeling good with JT and probably Warren or Dobbins. Definitely ETN can go. I feel like you could still get a little bit of value for ETN. Dobbins is another piece as well. Like you just don't know what that looks like as this team making a playoff push. If they start to work in the young guy a little bit later on in the second half, as we see a lot of teams do that. You know what I'm saying? Where they'll start their starter, the older player for the majority of the season, and then as we get to like the last couple weeks, they either want to save their older running back for the playoffs, or they want to see a little bit more of what they have in their younger players. So yes, I think ETN can go, and I also think Dobbins can go in the right deal. And I would be targeting another receiver. If Zay Flowers is your number 2 receiver, you probably need a better second receiver. Let's just say that. So come week 11, I have Kamara and JT on a bye with JT and Bam Knight to replace them for the week. What can I do to change this? I'm now looking to trade Wandale since I appear. So yeah, Bam Knight got to go. I would be looking to ship Bam Knight, especially because we know Trey Benson's going to be back at some point. It's going to be an ugly ass committee, and Bam Knight really ain't done nothing special anyway. So you can somehow move Bam Knight and Wandale Robinson in a package deal for an upgrade at running back, do that. Even if it's just a slight upgrade, like I would be doing that, especially. And the thing is, you can future-proof yourself at week 11, but it's also 1 week that you have to get through. So there might, in the chance between now, week 8, and between week 11, there's a high probability that somebody else is going to emerge at running back. Just make sure that you're ready to pick them up as well. JN, 2 days in a row. Yeah, was it 2 days? No, was it 2 days in a row? I think it's alternating days. I wasn't on yesterday. So shit, close enough though, right? Feel me? Close enough. Because I was on late. I was on late that other day. How's the vacation life, sir? Man, vacation life is great right now. I can't complain. I can't complain. And I mean, I'm doing things that I've always wanted to do and living life to the fullest right now. So I have no complaints at all. Vacation life is amazing. So we're in Spain right now. Quick little detour. We're in Spain right now in a city called Seville. Sevilla is what it's called. And we went downtown and saw some crazy shit. So I'll be posting on my Instagram stories. I'm gonna be posting some stuff after this live session here. But yes, vacation life treat me well, man. Appreciate you. Jorge, what's good? He said, Diggs, Devontae, Olave, start 2. Diggs, Devontae, Olave, start 2. Diggs, Devontae, Olave. I definitely go Devontae, especially if A.J. Brown is out, and I know it's up against the Giants. Definitely going Devontae, and I think I'll just stick with Olave. I probably just stay away from Diggs. The Diggs, I think Diggs is good, but I think they're also showcasing Olave in case there is a potential trade there. But then with Diggs, it's like I just think that with him, you get a lower scoring game against Cleveland. And then also he's just not a rock on the offense. Like that's the one problem with Diggs is that you got to trust him to be that. He's not always there. So I go Devontae and I go Olave as my 2 plays there. And then I will have a couple things that I need to – if you guys have fantasy basketball questions or just basketball questions in general, let me know. But I got a couple other things I want to do too today. So a couple other things I want to do. One of them is going to be fun. In the comment section, I'm going to be talking about an old player fantasy-wise. And I might do this a couple, like when I go on live, I might just start dropping like some older fantasy names. Give me a name of somebody you think that I will be talking about on stream today, and I'll highlight the comment. Whoever gets it right, I'll highlight the comment. It is a running back, fantasy running back. I'll let y'all guess who it is, but I'm going to talk about him today. You get one guess only. Don't spam. One guess only per person. Who you think it is? Clam Oyster, he said, hope Europe is well to you. It has been. Thank you very much. And it will continue to be for a while. Would you start Leggett, Ridley, or Mims? We got to make sure Ridley's playing. I think he's still questionable heading into the week. I would go Leggett over Mims. With that Broncos offense, we know it runs hot, and it ran hot in the second half of that game last week. The only thing I would say about Mims versus Xavier Leggett is that Mims in a potential shootout. That Broncos-Cowboy game could be a shootout. Like that could be – it's already the highest scoring total of the week, 51.5 points. So that could get there, especially with the Dallas secondary. So I think for now, I would feel good about Leggett, but if you're looking for a little bit more upside and just playing the matchup, Mims is the start there. So me personally, I like Leggett a little bit more. I think recommendation-wise, especially if you're looking to like get a little bit more security, you probably go with Mims. I like Leggett, but I think Mims would be like the analyst side of me instead of the Jahan side. Says start Mims. Sub Jan, about to hit you with some mid. Hey, at least you can admit it. At least you can admit it. Hit you with some mid. Start one at the flex. Gadsden, Bateman, Ridley, Judy, Slayton. Oh my God, this is mid, man. For me, I think right now, if Ridley plays, that's who I would go with. And then I probably would just ride the hot hand with Gadsden tonight. Just play him. Just play him. And I think Bateman, Judy, Slayton, we kind of and like Slayton just coming back from the injury. Like, who knows what we get out of him playing wise? But I think Judy, let's see it. Bateman, he's got to play a bigger role even with Lamar back. So I'll go Gadsden. I probably would go Ridley if I knew he was playing, but I'll go Gadsden. I'll go Gadsden. Jorge, my dog. Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate you, bro. Let me get into this real quick. And then after this question, I'm going to go into the games very briefly. All right. I traded Dak and Brees for Kyron, Olave, and Garrett Wilson. Oh, I traded Dak and Brees for Kyron and Olave. Dak and Brees. Okay, good. And then you traded Garrett Wilson and Benson for Judkins and Diggs. Okay. Okay. Now my team looks like May, CD, BTJ, Olave, Diggs, Devontae, AK, Kyron, Judkins, RJ, Spears, Kincaid, Gatson, Blake Horman, a half-point PPR league, 12 man. You only start two receivers, a running back, quarterback, flex, tight end. Thoughts on the team? So you only start two receivers. So you got CD and Brian Thomas. And then you start two running backs. So your running backs are AK, Kyron, Judkins. So the reason why you pared down Garrett Wilson is so you could get another running back here, which is smart. You got good stable of backs. Obviously, Kyron the workhorse, Judkins the workhorse. You got Kamara expected a workload increase, so I think that's good to go there. You got Olave you can play at the flex, Diggs you can play at the flex, Devontae Smith you can play at the flex. So I think you're sitting nice right now. What I would be curious about is what do some of these like your quarterback, you're solid. I don't think you really need to do much upside wise for Drake May. And then Dalton Kincaid as well. I think you're fine with him. Where I would lean in this situation, Jorge, is I think some of these back end pieces are going to provide you more problems than they're worth. So you have CD as your rock as far as receiver. I think I'd be looking at like, okay, how can I pair up Diggs, Devontae, Olave, two of these guys to get me one rock solid receiver? You could go get Romo Dunze coming off of mediocre performances, and I think I'd rather have one Romo Dunze than two of those guys. Or you could find one Nico Collins instead of two of those guys. Makes a little bit more sense. So when it comes to like how to play this, I would get super aggressive in finding like a nice solid third receiver behind BTJ and CD, or somebody that's even better that you can trust in your lineup over Brian Thomas and make him the third option to flex in case he looks like this all season long. So that's how I played. I think otherwise, this roster looks solid, bro. So I think this is a good team. From just on the surface, I don't know what the other teams in your league look like, but to me, this looks like a solid team. I don't really see any big holes here. I don't. I like tight ends, like where you're out there. Maybe flip Gatson right now while he's hot, especially if he has another good game tonight, because I think you could rock with Kincaid. The only other thing you can do is move Kincaid and a receiver to try to get Bowers if somebody has him available because you have Gatson. So, like, just get kind of creative with the back end pieces. I would keep May, keep CD, keep Kyron and AK and Judkins. Just keep your running backs outside of the back end ones. And then CD for sure. If you can flip two of the other receivers, I'm comfortable with Devontae as your third. I'm comfortable with BTJ as your third. Comfortable with Olave as your third. Diggs is a little bit he's the questionable one there. So that's how I would move that, especially if it's only two receiver. Get aggressive for another good receiver. Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate y'all. What's good, Jay Han? I traded Chase Brown and Keenan for Jaden Daniels. Is that a win or a wash? Chase Brown and Keenan. I have Caleb as my quarterback. I don't think you needed to do that. I don't think you needed to get a quarterback. If it's a thinner league, I'm cool with it, though. You're trying to get the upside at quarterback. So if it is a thinner league, I understand. But I think when it comes to like quarterback play, you already had decent with Caleb. He just had a couple bad games coming off the bye. I think he'll be better, but I'm not mad at that deal. I'm at that. Chase Brown and Keenan, I feel like you could have kept those guys and got a little bit more out of them later, value-wise. That's the only thing I see there. Other than that, I'm not too mad at it. All right. My bad. Last one. I see the supers came in. I want to make sure I get to them while you guys are watching and you're still here. So appreciate y'all for showing love to the channel. And then I'll get into the games real quick. End up sending Nico for Rome and Pacheco in one league. I needed to win. I can't risk Nico missing. And I sent Jamar, Genty, Caleb for CD, Jamar, Wash, Jacobs, Genty, Wash, Caleb, May. Okay, so give me the CD, Jacobs, May side for sure. I think you did great in the second deal. The first deal, I don't think you're really missing much because I think Rome's not that far off of Nico, and if Pacheco can at least be RB2 worthy, like you said, you needed wins now, and Rome already had his bye, and Nico could miss this game. So I think Nico already had his bye too, but if he does miss, it's just another chance for you to pick up some points. So I think you did good there. Good job, Keaton. That second deal, I like that a lot. CD, Jamar, same thing to me. I'd rather have Jacobs than Genty, and then May I'd rather have than Caleb. So I think you did good. I think you did good. All right, couple talking points before I get into the games. Obviously, we got a lot of teams on buy, 6 teams on buy. And I dropped a couple posts recently about buying low on players. I just want to clarify what I think buy low means because I think people hear the term buy low and they're like, oh, buy low on Rome Odunze, how do you value him? Or buy low on Saquon Barkley, how do you value him? I think if you're going to buy low on a player, it absolutely needs to be at a cost that is less at a cost that is less than their market value. So if Saquon value has been valued in the marketplace as an RB1, if the person in your league is saying, I don't believe in Saquon this year, I'm trying to get rid of him, that's buying low. I just want to clarify on that, right? Like Rome Odunze, I had some people ask me, okay, well, if you're going to buy low on him, how would you buy low? Because I value Rome as like a top 15 guy. Buying low isn't going and paying top 12 to 15 price on Rome. It's finding out, okay, does that owner really value Rome as that price tag? Because I think you hear the terms, hey, go sell high on this guy. Go buy low on this player. And I know all of us are in leagues right now, and it's like, it's not the easiest thing to do right now, trading. It's not. Like, people don't want to trade. And I think people are scared to give up the elite assets that haven't performed yet. They are scared to buy on assets that aren't proven. And then a lot of the younger players have failed. You know, you talk about the Chase Brown, the Travion Hendersons, or Marion Hamptons. Like, people are getting burned left and right by all different types of players. You go and trade for Juwan Johnson early in the year because you need a tight end. He's a dud now, right? So I think when it comes to trading, buying low, selling high, you're going to hear that all over your feed, right? You're going to hear it from me at times. And what that means is sell high means like sell at the highest value you can. It doesn't mean sell just to get rid of them. When you hear buy low on player, that doesn't mean I think this player is going to go crazy second half. It means there's a really good opportunity in the marketplace to get that player for less than what they're worth. I think it's thrown around too much. Buy low, sell high. It's thrown around a little too loosely. But what it truly means is if there's an opportunity to capitalize on the value, do that. When I was saying buy low on AJ Brown, it's because people didn't think he was a top 12 receiver anymore. Now you buy low on AJ Brown. You didn't think he was a top 10 receiver. I think he's still top 10. That's buying low. Brian Thomas, if you can get him right now as a back-end wide receiver too, you do that instantly. He is a starting caliber receiver who's gone through a major slump. That's what I mean, more so than anything. So when you hear the term buy low or you hear me say, oh, go buy low on this player, that's truly baseline what I mean. Not like I think this player is going to have a major jump, even though, sometimes the matchup stream, oh, they have a good matchup this week. Like, this is a good opportunity to do that. It's more so buy at the floor. Derrick Henry, another example, right? Coming off of the buy, off of a couple bad weeks. I said, Derrick Henry's a player I would go buy for the low. I'm not buying Derrick Henry at top 5 to 7 prices. And I think people here buy low, and then you have Derrick Henry on your team, and you're like, oh, okay, I'm going to go sell him for the high. That's not how it works. If you have Derrick Henry on your team, if you're looking, you're like, I don't know about the value of it. That's what I'm talking about. It's for the shaky manager. That's the person I'm targeting more so than saying, I have to go get this player before they blow up and change our fantasy teams. More often than not, it's tougher to predict that, as you guys can see this entire season. All right, so I just want to clarify on what buy low, sell high meant, because I think there was a little confusion, at least in my comment section on TikTok. So I wanted to clarify that a little bit. Also, Saquon Barkley is a player I think before they play the Giants again this weekend, that's a player I think I would be looking to acquire if I could at a good price. I don't want to pay top five price for Saquon Barkley, but if I can buy low on Saquon Barkley, I would do it. I would do it. All right, let's go over the games real quick. Did anybody guess the player? Anybody guess the player? Nobody guessed the old school player. Okay, I've seen a couple. Derrick Henry, Arian Foster. Still hasn't been guessed yet. It's cool. I'll get to it though. All right, first game, let's talk about it. Real quick, I'm not going to do the long spiel like I normally do. I just want to go over a couple quick hitters. I feel like that might be a little bit more valuable than like going over everybody. I think I tried to do that last time and I didn't. So let me see what I can do real quick. All right. Minnesota and the Chargers for a Thursday night game. Obviously, Carson Wentz is starting again. Their team is expected to go back to J.J. McCarthy, but Jordan Addison has quietly been a very nice play, so make sure you get him in. The major news here for the Vikings side, though, is that Aaron Jones is back, so feel good about putting him in your lineup as an RB2. I know a lot of people are probably thin with all the buys happening this week, but feel good about Aaron Jones going into your lineup. Jordan Mason gets a slight bump down, but he's still flex worthy to me. So I think if you have Jordan Mason and you've been starting him, if you don't have a better option, don't be like, waffling between that. I think he's good in his role, and they'll still use him in the red zone, and he might even still have a more even amount of carries than we think. On the Chargers side, we know what it is. It's really the passing game. Kamani Vidal is definitely a starting RB2-ish type start. But Oronde Gadsden is the player that a lot of people are probably going to have questions about. Right now, he is a back-end tight end 1, a high-end tight end 2. I'd prefer to start a more reliable solution until we see him be consistent. But after the game he had last week, it's tough to keep him out of lineup. So I think overall, in general, McConkey, Keenan Allen, Quentin Johnston, Oronde Gadsden, it's going to be a tough thing to manage over the course of until we see the run game become a little bit more solid. All those guys could have boom weeks. I think the floor is Keenan Allen, the ceiling is Quentin Johnston, and I think Gadsden, McConkey, everybody else kind of fit in between there, even for this game against Minnesota. So I can see a stronger game out of the running backs for Minnesota, but yeah, they're going to have to lean on the running game. They're going to have to lean on the run game. All right, moving on. Miami and Atlanta, this is a do-or-die game for the entire Miami offense. Mike McDaniel, I think, included. Tua is playing for a starting spot. So, and the thing is, this is a tough-ass defense. Tua probably belongs in lineups as a back-end QB2. There's not a whole lot of upside here with the weapons. No Darren Waller. He's on IR. So, Devon Achane, Jalen Waddle, feel free to continue to put them in our lineups. Jalen Waddle going up against a tough Atlanta secondary. This defense was literally top 5 against every position before Christian McCaffrey went crazy last week. So just know this could be a slower game for this Dolphins team, and hopefully for our fantasy teams it doesn't completely unravel, because then that means Jalen Waddle is even more risky of a play. As far as Atlanta goes, we got to make sure Michael Penix is available. He is questionable heading into the week, but if not, obviously fire up your normal Atlanta starters. Definitely for Bijan, this is a plus game. Miami has been terrible against running backs all season long, especially as they've not been able to score points and gone down in a lot of football games. But Atlanta favored by 7 in this game. I think this could be Atlanta blowout. The only thing is, this screams trap to me, because it feels like Atlanta blowout, doesn't it? But then it's like, oh, the Dolphins figured things out and figure out a rally for Mike McDaniel. Like it's either one of those two. There's no in between. It's either blowout or Miami wins. I don't think Atlanta wins in a close. I think this is blowout territory, or Miami wins that one. Jets get a new starter with Tyrod Taylor. Garrett Wilson questionable for this week. I think he's trying to get back on the field. Hasn't been confirmed if he's going to be ready or not yet. But overall, in general, the Cincinnati defense has just been terrible. So I feel like bounce back effort is coming for Breece Hall. So don't take him out of your lineup thinking he's been terrible over the last couple of weeks. Keep him in your lineup. We'll see what they do with Tyrod Taylor. Also, Mason Taylor might be worth a start here if you're down bad at tight end. I think Mason Taylor is a sneaky start this week against Cincinnati. So I would feel good about him as like a back-end tight end 1 type option. I know most people aren't confident with him, but for me, I think Mason Taylor is worth a look if you're desperate this week. And then for Cincinnati, continue to trust all the regular plays on here. Nothing crazy as far as Flacco, Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, Chase Brown. Business as usual for the Cincinnati offense. Chase Brown can go on lineups. I think Chase Brown is going to be better. Like I never think I never thought Chase Brown would be like this elite top 12-ish type 10-ish back. Like I've always kind of been, you guys have heard me, like I think he's a high-end RB2. Like I don't know, I never was fully believing in him, but I don't think he is as bad as people think he is now. So when I talk about buy low on a Chase Brown, I don't think he will return top 10-ish type value the rest of the way. But what I do think is that he is not one of the bottom. I don't think he's outside of this top 25. I think he belongs in the top 25 running backs. So if somebody doesn't treat him as an RB2, I would be looking to try to buy. There's so many players in fantasy. Like you've got to send out trades. You can't acquire everybody. But I think if I could get Chase Brown at his absolute lowest value, I think there's been a turning point with Flacco in this offense, and he looks better. So I would be looking to acquire Chase Brown if I could in that aspect. All right, Cleveland and New England should be a lower scoring game here, only 40.5 points on the board. And as far as these receivers for Cleveland, Jerry Jeudy and Isaiah Bond, it's just I don't really feel good about anything on this Cleveland offense outside of Quinshon Judkins. And this Patriots defense has been tough against running backs too. So I just don't really see a whole lot of optimism. Maybe you're going after Harold Fannin. You're playing him with David Njoku questionable for this week. But for now, you stick to Judkins. And I think if you were desperate at tight end, you could play Fannin as a back end, high upside, I would say, back end, tight end 1, high end, tight end 2. As far as New England side, I think we kind of know what it is as far as the run game. Ramondre Stevenson, Drake May, those are the starts right now. TreVeyon Henderson does not belong in starting lineups, barely belongs on rosters right now. I still think I still think TreVeyon Henderson has a spot on rosters. It's just tough to justify right now. And as far as receivers, I think we could see Stephon Diggs have a strong game. We could see Pop Douglas have a strong effort. We could see Kayshon Boutte have a strong effort. It's just so tough because they can rely on, Hunter Henry could have 2 touchdowns and 70 yards. So I kind of like to stay away from the passing game options from the Patriots. If I had to start them, it's Diggs, then Boutte, then Pop Douglas. I think Diggs is more flex worthy this week. The Giants and Philly, we get this Saquon Barkley again, rematch against the Giants now. Last time, obviously, this didn't go in the Philadelphia's favor. We got to make sure A.J. Brown is available for this one, but Jackson Dart did well against him last time, could play well against him this time. I think Jackson Dart's an every week start in super flex leagues and belongs on rosters, obviously, in single QB leagues. As far as Wan'Dale Robinson has seen an uptick in his volume this entire season, so continue to trust him as a decent flex option, wide receiver 3. And Darius Slayton could be back for this game as well. So if you're looking for kind of a dart throw at receiver against this Philly defense, could be a decent option. Tyrone Tracy got in the end zone last week, so curious to see what Cam Skattebo and Tyrone Tracy look like in a couple weeks. For now, it's still Skattebo, but like if I had Skattebo, I would be very intrigued in what I could get for him in the marketplace right now. Very intrigued. I'm not, I think a couple weeks ago when Tracy was coming back, I was like, I could see a split workload. I think Skattebo has earned more than that. But I am very curious to see what that looks like in a couple weeks. And then, on the Philly side, normal options, business as usual. Wouldn't it be shocking to see Saquon have a better game than we think? I know he's kind of banged up over the last couple weeks. But wouldn't it be shocking to see Saquon have a much better game this week? And then A.J. Brown, we got to make sure he's available. Like I said earlier in the show, he has missed the last 2 practices, but was spotted at practice. So hopefully he can get on the field on Friday. And then Dallas Goedert, Devontae Smith belong in lineups as usual. All right. Moving on. Buffalo and Carolina. Now, if Andy Dalton plays, which I think the expectation is that Andy Dalton's going to play, Bryce Young probably out for a couple weeks. Buffalo coming off of the bye. Buffalo's probably going to smack Carolina. But the thing here, I want to see that the one thing I'm looking for Buffalo-wise is what does this receiving core look like? Dalton Kincaid should be available after the bye. He kind of has been the team's number 1 receiver, but is Keon Coleman going to step up? Is Khalil Shakir going to play better? I'm kind of seeing if we can get any receiver. That's really what I'll be watching against Carolina, even though they've been tough against passing offenses in general. I really want to see can Keon Coleman look the part. So that's one thing I'll be watching. And as far as the Carolina side, Andy Dalton should be in there, and then McMillan, Leggett, both of these 2. So I think Tet, for all intents and purposes, belongs in lineups. But I also think Leggett showed a little bit of chemistry with Andy Dalton, and I think he belongs in lineups as a flex if you don't have a better option. I just know there's a lot of teams on bye this week, so if you don't have a better option, Leggett can start. That's what I think. If not, if you have a better option, start them over Leggett. And as far as the running backs go, it's going to be tough to trust Rico Dowdle, Chuba Hubbard. It kind of reminds me like Aaron Jones and Jordan Mason. I think they'll both be they kind of like hamper each other's ceiling. Chicago and Baltimore, we get the return of Lamar Jackson, hopefully this week. But the Chicago offense should bounce back a lot of points here. So if you're worried about Caleb Williams, who started off the season very strong and then kind of died out after the bye, I would be confident with Caleb Williams starting this week against Baltimore in the secondary, which has been, obviously through a lot this trying to get healthy and the amount of injuries on this Ravens team in general. So that means bounce back for him. Rome, I can see his passing game looking a little bit better than it has. But they've been running through DeAndre Swift, who's been kind of over the last, 2 to 3 weeks, he has been killing it. I want to say he's got to be like a top 5 to 10 running back over the last couple of weeks. So DeAndre Swift, man, if you had him and, I know there's a lot of Kyle Monangai talk, like keep rocking with DeAndre Swift until he proves you otherwise. And then as far as Baltimore, you could start to feel better about Zay Flowers because Lamar's back, Derrick Henry. This might be your last opportunity to kind of buy into some of the fallen names of this Ravens offense. Should look a lot better here. And I think I have the score wrong. This should be, I think Baltimore's favored by 6.5 in this one. I don't think there's no chance the Bears are favored by 6.5 in this one. Right? I gotta have that. Yeah, I had it backwards. I had it right on here. I have another little cheat sheet, and I had it right on there, so let me fix that. Baltimore has to be. I'm like, there's no chance. Chicago's favored by 6.5. Baltimore, with Lamar back, favored by 6.5. So I think we should see the ground game going again with Derrick Henry. Higher scoring game. We should see like Zay Flowers start to look the part, some deep shots to Rashad Bateman. One of the tight ends probably look good in this game. Mark Andrews or Isaiah Likely, your guess. So I would assume we see the Baltimore offense get back on track in a major way this week. If Lamar is back, everything's going to go. Niners and Houston, there's so many. The thing is, it's like there's a lot of ifs. Who's playing, who's not playing. We don't know if Brock is back. He's been at the practice field. So who knows if Brock is going to be available for this game. I think the anticipation is that he would be good to go, like he was trending towards playing last week against Atlanta, and I think he might be available for this week. But if he's not, Mac is obviously a good enough player to keep this offense going. We know the options are Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, a lot of questions about him. I could see the team making it a priority to get him on track after the game he had last week. 0, big goose egg. So I could see the team getting him back on track this week. And then as far as the receivers go, I think Pearsall is expected to still miss this week, but we have Jawan Jennings back and then obviously Kendrick Bourne. So they kind of feel like they're eating into each other's production. I think this is more of a George Kittle game than it is either one of the receivers. So for me, even though Houston's been tough against tight ends, I can see George Kittle bouncing back in a major way. As far as Houston goes, I don't like any of the Houston receivers. So if you're going to ask me about Xavier Hutchinson, Jalen Noel, Jaden Higgins, I'm off of all of these receivers. Nico's the only one I would want to start. Even if Christian Kirk somehow plays, I don't want any part of this receiving core at all. So for me, I'm out on this Houston offense in general. Nico would be really the only player. Dalton Schultz, I'm sure there's production here some weeks. I'm just not betting on Dalton Schultz being a 90-yard guy most weeks. I'm not betting on Jalen Noel having 70 yards most weeks. I'm not betting on anything when it comes to this Houston Texans. And I got to watch the word bet because we saw what happened with Chauncey Billups and them today. Yikes. I'll talk about that here in a minute too. Tampa Bay, New Orleans. In a higher scoring matchup here, 47 points division game here now. Emeka Egbuka should be better than he was last week. A couple missed opportunities for him last week. And no Chris Godwin, but Tez Johnson would be the other pickup here. I'm still not sure I would want to start him until we see a little bit more. Targets were nice to see last week. But until we see him be a little bit more consistent in this offense, bigger games, I know Baker's looking his way, but it kind of feels like Baker would spread things out too. Cade Otton would be a start for me this week. And then I think Rachaad White obviously is a premium high-end RB2, back-end RB1, probably more back-end RB1 than high-end RB2. As far as New Orleans side, feel really good about Alvin Kamara, unfortunately for Kendre Miller, but Devin Neal's a name I've seen pop up. They said they want to get him more involved. So if you're looking for potential sneaky pickups on waivers, Devin Neal's a name maybe you want to look at because it feels like this New Orleans team is committed to the youth movement at some point this year. So Devin Neal might be a name that you want to just at least have on your radar, if not pick up if you're desperate at running back. And then they've been talking about flipping Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed in the trade market. So you could see those probably priority on feeding both of those receivers. Both of them are very startable for me this week, especially in a higher scoring game. Dallas and Denver, the highest scoring game of the week in Mile High. Usual suspects for Dallas: Jake Ferguson, Javonte Williams, CeeDee Lamb, George Pickens, Dak, and then usual suspects for Denver: Bo Nix, Cortland Sutton, J.K., and then Evan Ingram. Kind of, he's been this play as of late where like he's looked like he's back, but we haven't seen the full breakout. Like I could see Evan Ingram having a strong game against this Dallas secondary, even though the Dallas secondary has been giving up the ass. So like, who do you start out of? Cortland Sutton, Troy Franklin, Marvin Mims. I think Cortland Sutton's the only name I truly trust. I think Troy Franklin and Marvin Mims are both guys you're going to hear, hey, start Troy Franklin this week against Dallas. Start Marvin Mims against Dallas. I think those are, for lack of better terms, I kind of think it's a lazy take. Just going with secondary receivers are going to play well against Dallas because they've been terrible as a secondary overall. But I think both of those guys are flex plays at best. I think Evan Ingram, I don't know why, but I think Evan Ingram gets a little bit more involved this week. And if you're worried about like George Pickens, I think you have a little bit of concern there just because it's Dallas secondary. Like I'm not worried at all about CD. He's going to get open, plays out the slot. They'll find ways to get him open. But George Pickens would be the one that I think I have a little bit more concern about because he's going up against those outside corners there. Probably see some Surtain in this. I think Surtain's been shadowing a little bit more this year. But I think he probably would see a little bit of George Pickens. So I would be careful with George Pickens this week. If you have a better option, I think that's the time to play him. But most of the time, you're not benching with George Pickens. All right, the last of the afternoon games, Tennessee and Indy. This should not be I don't think this is going to be a fun one at all, even though it's a division game. You never know. Cam Ward obviously has a little bit more of the green light for those wanting to start LKO Manor. I think this is a decent start. This Indy secondary has been pretty good all year, I think, fantasy-wise. They've given up a little bit more than we thought, but overall, they've been a good secondary. What the fuck? Overall, they've been a good secondary. And then when it comes to like Tony Pollard and Tajay Spears, I'm going to keep telling you to wait on Tajay Spears. It feels like it's going to happen at some point, but your guess is as good as mine when it actually happens. And then as far as there's no way in hell. That's right. Just a second, yo. That's crazy. Oh, it's because of last week. All right. Yeah, the Indy secondary been carved up last week. The Chargers, I was wondering why they were number one. Why it was the best matchup. I still don't think LKO Manor is a great start. He's more of a flex option. As far as the Indy side goes, I just dropped a post about Michael Pittman being disrespected. Treat him like if the projections for him are always really low, they're like 11 points or 10 points. I think you can capitalize on that in the trade market. I think he's more top 15-ish. I think we talked about this on the last show. He is more top 15-ish than advertised. So if you can pick up Michael Pittman at a good price, go ahead and do it. A lot of people asking about Alec Pierce as a sneaky option for this game against Tennessee. The only thing I can see is like Indy's going to get up, and you know what they're going to do. What are they going to do? Run the football. This is going to be a Jonathan Taylor game. So that's the one thing I would say with like an Alec Pierce and picking him up. Just be cautious with starting Alec Pierce in this matchup. As far as Green Bay goes, this is it. It's tough because I really think at some point we're going to see better out of Matthew Golden, but like until we do, I got to just call it what it is. It's not what I thought. Romeo Doubs is the receiver to start in this offense right now. Touchdown wise, he provides it. Even though the secondary has a lot of high profile names, they've still been liable to give up the tail a little bit when it comes to receiver production. So I feel good about Romeo Doubs this week. Kind of a sneaky name you can pick up. Like everybody goes, I was on a call earlier, and a lot of people go with like Quentin Johnston as a CLE guy, but like Romeo Doubs in his own right has been a touchdown machine this year. So I think Romeo Doubs, probably the B tier version of what Quentin Johnston is, unexpected touchdown leaders. Like I think Romeo Doubs belongs in there. I would feel good about him as a wide receiver 3 this week. And then as far as the Pittsburgh side goes, like we know it's Aaron Rodgers, DK Metcalf, but Jalen Warren been getting a lot of questions. I've been seeing him as like a sell high guy. To me, just he seems like a locked in RB2, especially with the way that the RBs are playing out this season. And then lastly, the Monday night game, we got Washington and KC. No Jaden Daniels for this one. He is out. So we'll get Marcus Mariota. It looks like Terry McLaurin and Deebo Samuel should both be back, though. I think they both belong in starting lineups. If you want to be cautious with Terry, I understand, but Deebo has proven himself this year. I kind of think Terry belongs in lineups, too, unless he's on some kind of limit. So for me, McLaurin, Deebo can go in there. I'd be very cautious with Bill Krosky-Merritt this week. You probably don't have too many better options. But, this KC defense is known for shutting down running backs. And then on the KC side, I mean, Mahomes, Rashee Rice, Pacheco, Kelsey, we know what it is. Xavier Worthy's become a little bit more questionable start than I want. But in a game like this, it kind of profiles as like a Xavier Worthy type game. So that's my thoughts on all the matchups. Let me know what y'all think. Let me know what y'all think. Let me get into some more questions. A little bit longer live today, huh? Back for the longer live. And I got a couple other notes I want to talk to. So keep dropping your questions in here. What time is the game? I would say, like everybody asks, how has it been overseas? It's been great. But one of the hardest things about being overseas is adjusting to the time. They don't tell you how hard it is to watch a game, bro. So I was like, oh, the game's about to start, but it's like 2 o'clock on the West Coast right now, 5 o'clock on the East. Do I have that right? Right? Like for me, the game don't start till 1 o'clock. So I was just I'm like, what fucking time is it right now? Jorge said, hope all is well, Jahan. Now I'm hoping that my trade gets me a win. I'm 2-5, trying to make a playoff push. It will, bro. It will, bro. We'll get you there. We'll get you there, bro. 3-5 is coming your way. What do you think is the best source on the web to use for weekly rankings, also for trade values, rest of the season rankings? I would say for weekly rankings. Sorry, I know I talked about being better about this and getting my rankings up. Like I said, Europe kind of changed some plans here. But I think if you go to Fantasy Pros, you can probably get a gist of like where people are ranked. I think Fantasy Pros has good consensus stuff, and a lot of times with consensus, you can find somebody with your line of thinking, I would say. So on there, you're going to see different experts from different sites. But what I would do on Fantasy Pros, because they have multiple like analysts on the site that rank weekly, I would look for somebody that either thinks like me, or you can kind of say, all right, this person's been really accurate over the last couple weeks. I trust them. They do like accuracy rankings weekly for positions. So I would say Fantasy Pros. As far as trade values, I think that's one of the hardest things to do because every league is different, settings are different, and you kind of got to understand the numbers aspect to trades more and like the talent component more so than anything. Because I don't think everybody knows how to trade, just being honest. So I think a lot of people think they know how to trade, but I remember when Jamar Chase, we talked about this on here. I remember a couple weeks ago when we were seeing hey, trade Jamar Chase. I remember seeing like Deebo for Jamar Chase, and somebody would rather have Deebo. And it's like, that's just not acceptable. Like, we're not, and never in a million years you're going to hear us talk about that on this channel. So I would say, like, it's tough out there because there's a lot of people who do good things in the fantasy space. I just don't know that they always equate to like winning fantasy championships. So I don't know how to say that without being disrespectful, but that is what it is. Ryan, what's good, bro? He said, what up, Jahan? 2-5 record right now. Love JT, Kyron Lynn. Feel like I got a good team. Not sure what moves I need to make. I feel like your team is stacked, bro. Sometimes it just is what it is. Like, this is one of those teams that will probably get hot at some point. So I don't think you really do much. Honestly, like, if y'all got something for him, but like, you're stacked at every position, bro. I feel like you're just 2-5. And I think it just happened to you like this. Like, it wouldn't shock me to see you get in the playoffs at like 8-6 or 7-7 and turn up. So keep it going. Just try to stack a win right now. You got you got a couple buys this week. Kyron and Adams. Bowers out. So yeah, I don't know. Hopefully you can get a win this week. But I don't really see a whole lot wrong there. Jordan Mason, Kamara, Dobbins, bench one. I'm benching Jordan Mason. Fannin or Ingram, I'm probably playing Ingram personally. Ingram, and I'm playing Ingram, and I'm benching Jordan Mason. 3 and 4, Fields, Party Asian. What can I do? 3 and 4, you're fine. Why? If you're 3 and 4, 4 and 4, or 3 and 4, 4 and 3, what do you? Don't panic. You're fine. What can I do? You can always be looking to upgrade. I would say like the one thing I'd be looking to do is back end pieces for studs, for fallen studs. That's the easiest way to win a championship. Back end pieces for fallen studs. When people are panicking, you buy. That's literally the easiest. I don't know how else to put that. Like, that's the easiest way that I like, especially if you feel like you have a good lineup that you trust. Oh, you need a quarterback. Fields is not starting. Tyrod Taylor is. So hopefully you have a different. Oh, you got Purdy. I would try to find another quarterback. If I was looking quarterback wise for you, if Aaron Rodgers is there, he's already had his bye. I think that's a good like baseline player. Somebody might have dropped Matthew Stafford this week. I think that'd be a good pickup. A little bit of upside. I would say like if Flacco's out there for sure, go get Flacco. But you need a new quarterback. Fields. I don't know if we see Fields again this year. And if it is, it might not be on the Jets. Wandale and Bam for Aaron Jones and maybe a throw-in. Send that shit all day. Go get Aaron Jones, bro. Go get Aaron Jones. I think Aaron Jones is worth more than Wandale. Wandale is one of those guys. He's a good player, but he's one of those players you question every week. Do I start him? He's a wide receiver 3. So I think you trade a wide receiver 3 and a running back that's probably going to go off the radar soon for Aaron Jones and get another receiver. I think that's worth it. Or if you can just get a slightly better player than Aaron Jones. What up, Jay? Hadn't caught a live in a minute. Hope the trip going good. Appreciate you, bro. Yes, the trip is going amazing. Nothing short of amazing. I asked the comments earlier to guess the player I was talking about. I was talking about an old school player. I didn't see any other guesses come in. No other guesses came in. But I want to talk about a player real quick, and I'm just going to do this. So just so you guys know, I don't have as much time to do like sit down and film as I used to. So sometimes I'm going to be talking with y'all and just making a clip out of it too. So I'm going to make a little clip out of it. Y'all will know I'm making a clip. You guys can probably tell sometimes when I'm clipping it up. But I also want to start doing this more of like, I want to start talking about old historic players because I feel like the one thing I noticed when like we talk about Demaryius Thomas, right? Like Demaryius Thomas, he had his bust was inducted into the Broncos Hall of Fame. And it's like, man, he didn't really get his just due as a player. And I feel like in the fantasy landscape, this is one place where we don't show enough appreciation for players who were impactful for our teams. It's like, oh, we talk shit about this player and then we treat him like trash. A.J. Brown, no longer good anymore. Brian Thomas was good last year. He's ass this year. He's trash. Najee Harris was never good. He sucks. He's 1,000 yards every year. Mike Evans, he's never been elite. Like, we as a fantasy community, we don't really be showing love to players. And one of the players I wanted to show love to for real football and NFL was a back in the mid 2010s that literally did it all. One of my favorite players to have in fantasy football literally was three-level player. Ran the rock, receptions-wise, he was dope. One of the best receiving backs in the game at the time, and then also an extremely good blocker. And Matt Forte was one of those smooth players, bro, who just did it all. Like Matt Forte, you've seen him, and he would have like 100 yards rushing with 100 yards receiving, or he would have 150 rushing and still have 8 catches in the receiving game. And that's back when like PPR was just getting started, and everybody wants to talk about like Le'Veon Bell as the patient runner, of our generation. It's like I think everybody kind of forgot who Matt Forte was. So when you think about the greats of that era, you think about like, Adrian Peterson towards the tail end of like LaDainian Tomlinson's career. And it's like you kind of skip on one of the best like backs that was there that wasn't the elite back of that generation. And some of y'all too young don't even know who Matt Forte is. Like Matt Forte was one of them guys. So when you think about like, Bijan to a lesser scale, Saquon Barkley to a lesser scale, like some of these guys, Jahmyr Gibbs now, like Matt Forte was literally one of the pioneers of the running and receiving back archetype, like to a heavy extent. He had, over 100 catches in a season, which at the time, I want to say it was a record at the time. Running backs weren't doing that back then. You weren't seeing 100 catches in 16 games. You barely see 100 catches now. So I think Matt Forte is one of those players I used to roster and did whatever I could to get him on my lineup. like a legit cheat code. We talk about cheat codes and outliers. He's one of the players that I had on my team that I was like, once you get Matt Forte on your team, you're good to go. If somebody ever wanted to trade Matt Forte, you're good to go. So I don't know if y'all know and remember Matt Forte, but if you do, let me know in the comments. Let me know your thoughts on Matt Forte before we get into the next into the next topic. Do y'all like Matt Forte? Even know Matt Forte? Give a shit about Matt Forte? Y'all remember him? Let me know what y'all think, man. Matt Forte, bro, he was literally one of my favorite players to have on my roster. It was close. Somebody said Arian Foster. That was kind of close. Like Matt Forte reminded me a lot. Like that's Arian Foster was Matt Forte-ish, like value-wise. But Matt Forte, I mean, he did it for years too. He was elite, like a top 5-ish back for like 6 to 8 years. I ain't say it. I ain't say it. I wanted to. My kids, man, they've been annoying me with that 6'7" shit, bro. Gatson or Kincaid? I'd probably go Kincaid. Kincaid plays, I'm going Kincaid. Move Stevenson and Nico for Jettis this week. My depth is lacking. I think that's a good move though. Getting Jettis, solidifying things. I think that's a great move. Only start 2 running backs in flex done this year. Oh, right here. What if you have any thoughts, players? So ask me this in the comments of the YouTube so I can get to it in a little. I got a few more things I want to cover today. So apologies to you, bro. But yeah, I think that trade was getting rid of some depth. You have a good team. Getting rid of some depth for Jettis. Good job. Thoughts on Vidal's a flex? And I think he's a good flex. I think he's a decent flex. I'll say that. A decent flex. How you been, Jahan? I've been good, bro. Like really good mentally. Like being able to get out. Like I don't know. They talk about like the U.S. and like I loved living in the U.S. and still plan on returning back to the U.S. But Europe has been different, man. I don't know all the stuff you see. Like, oh, this is happening in Europe, and be careful over there, and don't get pickpocketed. All this shit. I'm like, bro, like Europe is dope, scenic, good food, good vibes. The people are nice, at least as far as where I've been. Been in Spain and Portugal so far, and it's been good. So I'll tell you otherwise. Quad, appreciate you. Say great to see you. Great to see y'all as well, man. Great to see y'all as well. Chat is lit up tonight, baby. Chat is lit up. Well, today. Chat's lit up today. It's gonna trade Achane for Kyren and Nico. Do counter with Achane Rice for Nico and Kyren. I hate my league sometimes. It's gonna trade Achane away for Kyren and Nico. Oh, he's like, oh, just throw in Rashee Rice. It's good. I feel like trading is kind of fucked right now. Trading is hard. Trading is hard right now. And I respect to anybody who is trying to trade right now because you got to be one of the bold ones to send the offers right now. And then a lot of times you get counters back like this. Like people are just disrespectful with the counter. So I think when you're trading, just know you got to stay level headed and don't take anything personal. Like people are trying to improve their teams. And I think for years, it's been easy to like finesse people and people have got finessed in deals. And so everybody is scared to trade when the whole point of trading in fantasy football is to improve both teams. It's like, here, I have something you need. Give me something that I need, right? That's why in most cases, I always suggest stud for bench, right? Or maybe it's a positional swap of equal like players. But I think this hustle culture, and I think, back when I was playing fantasy, like it used to be a little easier to trade, right? Like I could go trade with somebody because there wasn't calculators and all this other shit, and there wasn't so much content out there telling you to buy this player, sell this player, buy this player, buy low. Like there wasn't all that out there. You could go and have a negotiation with somebody. But I think with the emergence of like the group chat, the emergence of like people asking in the comment section and then getting scared that they did a bad deal, it's just made everybody petrified to trade. And trading, I think, is one of the best things in a fantasy league. It's kind of like Monopoly, right? Like if you ever play Monopoly, you go through the whole board game, and there's some people who never trade in Monopoly. Whatever piece I land on is the piece that I get. But it's like part of winning in Monopoly and like having a fun Monopoly game is with tradings and making boneheaded moves and trading players to try to get better. Like otherwise, just go play fucking best ball. Otherwise, go do something else. It ain't fan like trade, bro. Like if you have players and at least make one deal. Like you can go the whole season, just make one deal. Or if somebody sends you an offer, counter with something respectable. Like, how do you go in a fantasy league and you don't want to trade at all? You just literally want I only want the players I draft. I'll use the waiver wire. Like, what the fuck is that? It don't make no sense to me. And I don't want to see anybody else improve, so I'm gonna veto. Like, kind of lame you gotta be to do some shit like that. So I think for me, I'm all with trading, and I feel like if you're in a league that doesn't trade, it's like, what's the point, man? Like, I just don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it, and I maybe never will when it comes to like people who just don't respond to trades. Like, how lame are you? You can't open up your inbox to be like, yo, okay, here's what I want for the player. It takes 2 seconds. Are you nervous you're going to lose the league? Are you nervous you're going to lose your star player? Are you scared to get swindled? It's just trade talks in a fantasy football game, man. Shit pisses me off thinking about it. It's like, bro, like everybody makes dumb deals. I do this shit. This is what I do. And I know I've made some dumbass deals before in the past. I've given away players that did really well. I've made trade recommendations in a TikTok, in an Instagram post, in a YouTube short that say trade for this player, and that player ends up getting hurt or they're terrible. It happens. It's part of the game. I just don't get why people are so scared. Like, here, yeah, I'll do this deal. Just throw in Rashee Rice. Like, what? Like, what are you talking about, bro? Or like when people want you to give up the two best players in a deal. Like, it's a 2-for-2 deal, and you want me to give up the two clear best players. I don't understand it, bro. I don't understand it. People are so scared. They're scared to lose a deal. So I would say this: sometimes when you lose a deal, you have a better chance of winning your league. On paper, sometimes when you lose a deal, it actually ends up working for you. I don't want to. I wasn't trying to go into that today, but trade away Genty for Brian Thomas and Dobbins. I think that's great value for Genty. If you're gonna trade Genty, you need to get value like that. You're 2-5, gets you some action right now. Genty's on a buy. Good job. Good job. I think that was solid. Maybe you could have done better. I think that was a solid deal. So at least you get for this week, you get Dobbins to play. You're not without a running back, and then you'll get BTJ off the bye next week. So I think you're fine. 2 running backs, 2 receivers, a flex, Saquon, Dak or Hurts. Sorry, Epic. I don't know what you mean by this. Is this a trade or a lineup? What is it? Someone put Bowers on trade block. Wandale. I have Ferguson. Shaw from Wandale, DJ Moore, just Marv. Wandale and DJ Moore can go for Bowers, but you already have Ferguson. Ferguson's elite. But I think to get Bowers, I'm good with that. Wandale and DJ Moore, that shit can go. What kind of receiver target with ETN? You have a deal with Pierce on the table. I think that's about the area you're looking at. You're looking at somebody in that realm, like wide receiver 3-ish for ETN. So the only thing is the running back position. A lot of people can use a running back right now, even one that puts up 12 points. So I think that's the only concern I have is like just trading away that. But you might be able to get more, especially if Pearsall is out this week. Let me think on player in that range. I can't think of a player just off the top of my head in that range, like a Chris Olave. You get what range I'm talking about though? Like that's about where I'm at. Like maybe you could finesse like a Lad McConkey. I don't think you can get that, but you could finesse a Lad McConkey, maybe T. Higgins, like something like that. Jackson Dart is him. I like Jackson Dart. But I like Jackson Dart better than I thought I was going to. Michael was good. Said, "Jay, my guy, hope all is well. Would you move Olave for Henry?" Yes. Get Derrick Henry. Like the thing is, even when it comes to trading for players like this, it's like even if he misses, okay, you missed out on Derrick Henry. You got the 1 year he was terrible. Whoops, my bad. But if Derrick Henry goes back to like 85% of what he is, you smash this deal. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the same reason why I always advocate for like, and I know I talk about it too much, but like the AJ Brown stuff, it's like we know who AJ Brown is. So why are we treating him like he's something different? Just because, oh, I was right. You drafted him too early. Who cares about you're right? You drafted him too early. Same thing for Henry. Maybe we drafted him a little too early. Who cares? We know most of the time when he plays, he provides top 10-ish to top 5-ish, really, level output at the running back position. So go get him. Chris Olave will never be a top 10 receiver. Like he's just not that. That's not who he is. Not in the right offense. Not in the right setup for that. Javonte for Barkley and BTJ, like this is what I'm talking about, bro. Is this real? You could get like don't That's real? JR, if this is a real deal and you can get Barkley and Brian Thomas for Javonte Williams, you do that shit 10,000 times out of 10,000 just for the even in the worst case scenario that you got good value back, you got trade value back, you got market value back. Say both of those players do what they were supposed to do. You completely obliterate this deal. Like worst case scenario, it's a fair deal. Best case scenario is that might be a league winning deal for you. You always do deals like this. Always. Always. Okay? Always. Now, if it was like Javonte for Barkley straight, I'm still doing that deal. Javonte for BTJ straight might be the question mark. Now I might be like, okay, do I need that positional swap that badly? And do I really believe in Brian Thomas? And now you can think about it. But to get both of them, got to get it done. Bears haven't had a really good running back since Forte. Yeah, bro. It's been a while since the Bears. The last great Bears, damn, it really was Matt Forte, huh? We got like David Montgomery's been there. Damian Williams was there for a while. Yeah, Tyreek Cohen was there for a while. DeAndre Swift. It's been bad. It's been bad for the Bears. Look at this. We do got okay, bet. I won my first ever championship with Forte and Megatron. Damn. Hey, that's a lucky team. You had Megatron back then, that 2,000-yard year. Mark Ingram was my guy. Yeah, Ingram was dope. Ingram was dope. Ingram was dope. Should have gave like a team I would have gotten. Oh, you would have gotten it if I'd have said Bears? Yeah. If I'd have said Bears, that'd have been too easy. I got more. I got more in the Rolodex, bro. There's one of my favorites. One of my favorites of all time. One of my favorite players. Matt Forte is probably, I would say Matt Forte, if I had to list the all J Hen fantasy squad, I would say quarterback was Donovan McNabb. Donovan McNabb, maybe Michael Vick was up there too. But Vick was just a cheat code. Donovan McNabb, always on the J Hen team. Running backs, my two running backs were always, if I could trade for them or get them, Jamal Charles, Matt Forte, almost every time. Lev Bell also entered that spot. Like no matter what, down year, whatever, I always try to get those three running backs in the 2010s were J-Hen guys. At tight end, Gronk, bro. I do whatever I could. I trade with anything I could to get Rob Gronkowski. Always had like Jordan Reed, PPR, but he always got hurt on me. Always got hurt on me. As far as receivers go, like my favorite receivers, I was a Brandon Marshall, Roddy White, Reggie Wayne, Demaryius Thomas. I never really got like Julio. I never got Julio Jones because I was always taking the running backs and tight ends. I had Antonio Brown one year. The year him and Lev Bell went crazy. I had both of them. And this is back before I was playing like only two leagues. I wasn't playing like as many leagues. I was playing like two leagues, you know, one like main money league and then like another league with like coworkers or something like that. But I would have like two, maybe three leagues. Like I definitely didn't have as many leagues as I do now. And then yeah, receiver. I was trying to think any other good receivers off the top of my head right now. Brandon Lloyd was on some teams, but that was just because I was a Niner homer. I used to have Frank Gore a lot too. Frank Gore, especially like later on in his career when he started catching the rock a little bit more. But yeah, those are some J-Hen. If you ever wonder who like my guys were back then in like the 2010s, those are some of like the J-Hen guys back then. Was thinking Wandale, JCM for Jalen Warren and Harvey. That's just mid for mid. But if I had to pick a side, I'm probably just picking Jalen Warren out of all that. But it's kind of mid for mid if you ask me. How would you rank Pollard, Monganai, and Brashard Smith this week? Pollard starts. Brashard Smith and Monganai don't. They're both bench options. Start Pollard. People be too scared, been roasted for trades and past season just to win it all. You're like at the end of the day, people are gonna trade, bro. Like you gotta make a move. I feel like people are just scared. They just want to stick with their drafted team and hope that they pick up the right players. Like that shit ain't fun, man. Clip that rant. That's gonna be a clip for sure. That is gonna be a clip for sure. Flick Fantasy? I don't even know what that is. For rankings? Yeah, I don't know what that is. I don't know what Flick Fantasy is. Nasty question, but would you do Godwin for Rashid, Shaheed, and Vidal? If I need the wins now, I would do this deal. 1,000%. I think Shaheed is getting showcased for a deal. And I think Kamani Vidal at least has a few weeks as a starter, whereas Godwin, A, he's out this week. B, the team has a bye next week. And C, we don't know when Godwin's coming back on the field. I would do that in a heartbeat. Rashid, Shaheed, and Vidal, I would do it. Jeremy Shockey, basically can't skate. I didn't really like Jeremy Shockey either. I wasn't a Jeremy Shockey fan. I liked Jimmy Graham as far as tight ends for fantasy, but I never wanted to draft him because I always fucking hated him. I always thought he was overrated, like as a player. For fantasy, he was nasty, but he was always like flexing and like for the Saints, and I was like, bro, you ain't that good. He was a player I didn't like, probably for good reason because he was a fucking good football player. But yeah, that's funny. I always thought Jeremy Shockey and Jimmy Graham were like they were never Gronk. They were never there was one more tight end at that time who was like elite. I can't think of who it is right now, off the top of my head. There was one more. It was Jimmy Graham, Gronk. Was it Kelsey? Am I thinking Kelsey? Kelsey wasn't him yet. No, Kelsey. It wasn't until a little bit later with Kelsey. There was one more tight end. Was it Dallas Clark? No, it wasn't Dallas Clark. Who was it? Heath Miller? No, he wasn't there. Greg Olson was like kind of there. Greg Olson was up there because Tony G was already done. Oh, Antonio Gates. Antonio Gates was like the other one. So it was always like Gates, Gronk. Those are the two. Like, did you take those two early? And then I thought Jimmy Graham would always get pushed up there. And I think he had 2 or 3 years with the Saints where he was really like that. But yeah, it was definitely it was Antonio Gates. I had Brady, Moss, Plaxico, Burris. God damn, Randy. Randy was crazy. Yeah, it's fun going over some of like the older teams, bro. I feel like the older players don't get enough love. They don't. We don't talk enough about Plaxico Burris. Like we don't. Plaxico Burris was like a dog. You know, you kind of think about like some of the receivers of today. I would say like Plaxico Burris reminds me of like a T Higgins, but like a better T Higgins, or it kind of what. Let me see. I think like T Higgins is a really good comp for like Plaxico. Maybe I think that's actually a damn good comp for Plaxico Burris. Maybe more like a Mike Evans. I feel like that would be kind of shitting a little bit on Mike Evans' career. But I think T Higgins, Plaxico T Higgins. What y'all think about that comp? I think that's kind of a good comp for like T Higgins. If T Higgins was like the guy on a team, I think it'd be Plaxico Burris. What do y'all think about? Or like Chris Henry. Y'all remember Chris Henry for the Bengals, bro? Like, yeah, there was I don't know, there was a lot of talent in the league back then. Matt Forte, I remember him well. The team names were too legit for people who had him on their team. Oh yeah, I don't remember any of the names we used to use Forte, but you're right because that was back in the era where we used to name our not even more so than now. We used to like really name our teams, cared about like naming our teams. Y'all remember that? Would you trade JCM and BTJ for Higgins? Hell no. Nah, I feel like it's hustling backwards. I feel like BTJ and Higgins are damn near the same. You got the same problem with both. Higgins maybe gives you a little bit more upside, but I don't know about that one. I feel like you could do better. Like find a different player. Find somebody that's a little bit more consistent than T. Higgins. Tyler Eifert, a name I haven't heard in a long time. That was not Tyler Eifert, but good. That's a good name too. He was like spike weeks. Like him, you remember Jermaine Gresham? That's another name too. But yeah, I feel like Tyler Eifert had some names. We wanted Tyler Eifert to be better than what he was. He just never got to the point where he was like elite. At least that I can remember. I never remember Tyler Eifert having like a top 5 season. And tight end was tougher back then. You couldn't just get random like top 5 seasons out of people. It was a little tougher. Like you kind of knew who the guys were back then. Vernon Davis was another one. Vernon Davis was up there. He had more than a few elite years. Yeah. I should have known that as a Niner fan. That's bad on my part. I feel like I'm missing like one more big name. I feel like I'm missing one more like really big name at tight end. You said Gates, Olsen. Vernon. Man, I don't know. I can't remember it. Can't remember. Flawless said can't afford the monthly subscription no more with all the subscriptions you need to watch football nowadays. Ain't hey, no love lost, bro. Still tap in and hit the like button. As long as you sub, hit the like button, bro. It's none but love on my end, man. And yeah, for those who you know what I'm saying, watch and sub and maintain a membership, I'm thankful for all you guys. You know what I'm saying? Like it's love on my end. I'm trying to get back to showing my face a little bit more on here. Like I said, I'll be in Spain for the next month. So I was previously in Portugal. I was up and back. I told you guys I sold. Like I'm not in my house right now, so sold the house and took a trip to Arizona. So I was bouncing back and forth because I think we're going to end up moving back to Arizona. That's on the agenda as of now. But yeah, man. So appreciate y'all locking in with me still, man. Make sure y'all run up the views on TikTok and social media as well. But yeah, the advice ain't going nowhere. I'm not going nowhere, and I get it, man. It's you gotta watch a lot. You gotta Peacock and Amazon and NFL Network and YouTube. It's like, bro, like y'all can't just put on one channel. So over here, I don't get to sports bet, but what I get to do is watch DAZN, DAZN, and it's all the games for like $25 every game, no blackouts. I was like, oh shit, and you get the whatchamacallit. And you get the red zone in it. It gives you red zone every single game for like $25. I was like, shit, I'm in. Everything. Like all streaming platforms. It's weird. I was like, damn, for 25, you get literally every game, no blackouts. Tony G, yeah, I think I said Tony G, but he was he was more like 2000s and 2010s. Yes, RIP Chris Henry. His son is going crazy, bro. His son been going crazy. I think he might make the league too. All right. Couple other things real quick I got. Y'all can stick around for this or not. Continue to ask questions. I will get to them. But I am going to talk a little fantasy hoop. Hope y'all don't mind. Oh, did I say Roddy White or did I forget him? Did I say Roddy White or forget him? Because Roddy White was him. Roddy White was a J-Hand guy. I hope I didn't miss him. Because Roddy White definitely was a J-Hand guy. I think I said him, but Andre Johnson was another J-Hand guy. Andre Johnson. Damn, we're going back now. Y'all taking me back. Like Lev Bell, I used to always have Lev Bell. I think I said that already. Yeah. And it's funny because we did the try hard. Like I talked about the try hards with like Damian Pierce, right? Like, y'all know the Damian Pierce shit, right? I talked about the try hards, but like Alfred Morris was like a try hard to me. Oh, another back I used to always take, DeMarco Murray was a dog. Him and RIP, damn, a lot of young guys dying, man. RIP Marion Barber and RIP Doug Martin. Damn, bro. Getting older sucks, man. That's three, bro. Chris Henry, Marion Barber, Vincent Jackson, Doug Martin, Demaryius Thomas. It's sad, bro. You start getting older, you think about it, was just like a decade ago. They was rocking on the fantasy team, bro. And it's like you don't want to go. You never want your mind to take you there. But I'm like, damn, we're watching a lot of young players right now, So be thankful for who you're watching. Like I said, I think it's time to do more appreciation stuff with fantasy, with NFL watching in general. It's like the community is so negative. There's a lot of negativity, and it came from like watching the takes. I'm right, you're wrong, right? Like, but I think in the era before us, it used to be like there used to be so much more appreciation for the players, And I think now with social media, we talked about this before, but like with social media, it's so easy to like hate on players in today's world. Like, I don't know, man. I just feel like we got to start showing more appreciation. That's why I'm gonna start doing that more often on the show. Is just talking about players. Talking about players I like, man. Todd Heap, another throwback name. Good job there. Todd Heap and Desmond Mason or Derek Mason for the Ravens. I used to call him Todd Cheap. I think everybody did. All right, I want to go over a couple things in the basketball world real quick before we get off, though. Number one, got to talk about Victor Wembanyama. And, normally I deal with basketball. Like, for those who don't know, I used to run a page called Just Hoop Talk, and that was like the foundation of this YouTube page before it actually blew up. Me and my boy, we used to talk hoop, and then I did a show with Marcus Graves, who was a G League player, plays overseas now. He actually played against Wemby when he was with the G League Ignite. And then I also have done fantasy basketball content with Dan Titus on this page as well. So, for those who have been here for the long haul, you've seen some in and out with fantasy hoop or with basketball in general. And I'm going to get back to doing more basketball related content as well this season. So, but Wemby, I mean, we call him the alien, but what he's doing is shit we are never going to see again. And I think a lot of people are, for whatever reason, they're like surprised he had a 40 and 15 game, or like he's dunking without jumping a whole lot, or he can, hit a cross tween and then a step back to the midi. Like, I think that's surprising to a lot of people. But if you saw this from the beginning, the only thing with Wemby we were concerned about was injury. The talent was there. It was like, oh, can he stay healthy? Guys this big don't stay healthy. I think to act surprised, like we didn't know Wemby was going to become the best fucking player in the league at some point, is crazy to me. How do you not see it? Wemby is going to win multiple championships. And I know there's people who kind of doubt him based on like, oh, he turns the ball over a lot. He's a turnover prone player. I've heard that about Wemby in the past. And I've heard like, a lot of things injury wise. He had the blood clots last year. But like, if Wemby is able to compete as a player for the next 10 years, I mean, we're talking about he's probably going to win 5 to 6 championships. Wemby with a normal NBA career is going to go down unequivocally as the best player to ever play. I am a LeBron James stan. I loved watching Michael Jordan when he played. He was the GOAT when he played. Kobe was the GOAT for me when he played. LeBron was the GOAT for me when he played. Victor Wembanyama. After this first game, I hope people don't think that was like a fluke. He's just getting started. That's the craziest part about Wemby. So when you call him an alien, he's legit, not from this world. I don't know where the fuck they found Victor Wembanyama or what's to come after him. Because if he's the start of something else with these 7-footers that can, like, there's going to be no chance for regular ass human beings. Like, this game is going to be built off of 7-footers who can do everything, which is insane. So I don't know. You talk about like changing the game or once in a generation players. You think of like Shaq, once in a generation player who kind of changed the game the way it was played. LeBron is kind of a once in a generation. I know you say it's easy to say once in a generation, but what they do size and skill wise is nothing like we've ever seen. The Wilt Chamberlain 100-point stuff. Like, we're going to get some craziness, like legit crazy statistics out of Victor Wembanyama. And it's not just quadruple double. I think that'll come too. 10 blocks, 10 boards, 10 assists, 10 points. I think that's coming. I think quadruple, I think that's for sure. 5x5 is probably going to be in the cards very easily for him. What we're going to see out of Victor Wembanyama is rewriting of a lot of the history books, in my opinion. Maybe not the longevity stuff with Braun, but some of the single season and single game stuff, I think for sure we are going to see elite, GOAT level shit out of Victor Wembanyama. Let me know what y'all think about Wemby and his 40 and 15 day out the gate, bro. I thought that was crazy. Keaton, he said, Cade Otton or Dalton Kincaid and Spears or Leggett this week. I go Kincaid over Otton. I think Otton is just a little safer, though, because Kincaid is like, we got to see him back and healthy. I think he'll be there. But I kind of like Kincaid a little bit more than Otton. I'm not mad at either. I prefer Kincaid. And Leggett or Spears, I think you just have a better bet with Leggett being part of the offense. I still think we're kind of waiting on Spears to be part of the offense. So I would go Leggett over Spears. What's up, man? Pastor, what's good? He said, should I trade BTJ and Kraft for Nico? BTJ and Kraft for Nico. I still Kitto's been starting tight end things. I think it's a little bit of an overpay for Nico. Nico and Brian Thomas. Nico hasn't been like that much better than Brian Thomas to justify it, but I still think it's a little bit of an overpay, even if you have Kittle. But maybe on the back end, kind of see what you can get. VV was good. What's good? Should you start Jordan Addison or Keenan Allen tonight? Keenan for the floor, Jordan Addison for the upside. I think Jordan Addison, I mean, he's been playing at an elite level. It's tough to bench him right now. I think I kind of will go with Jordan Addison just for the pure upside. We know what Keenan is floor-wise, but I think Addison's providing so much more, like, Deep ball wise, I would go Addison over Keenan Allen slightly. Mooney or Leggett, I'm still going. That one's a little bit tougher. I'd probably still go Leggett. I don't know. Maybe I'm just a little bit higher on Leggett than I should be this week. But Wemby locked this offseason. Yeah, I mean, dude was literally doing everything. They said he did some NASA stuff. He was doing the monk stuff. He trained with Hakeem Olajuwon. So it's like we talk about locking in somebody purely focused on how do I develop as a human being and as a player and mentally, cerebrally. Like, and then not to mention, you go and you get De'Aaron Fox last year. You go and you draft Dylan Harper this year. You get Stephon Castle last year. Like, the team is loaded with young talent around him that can move with him. I don't know, man. I just feel like Wemby's gonna be one of them players. Like, you don't know how to explain it. It's Calvin Johnson when he was playing. It was just like, bro, what do you do with Calvin Johnson? There's nothing you can do because he's just so much different than everybody else. You know what I'm saying? Got Wemby on your fantasy team? That's legit. That's legit. You got Wemby on your team. I think it's man. I wanted Wemby so bad. I had the 4th pick. I was hoping he fell to me. He didn't. And then I had another league where I got the 6th pick. I was like, dude, I just want Wemby in one league, bro. I might just go sell whatever I can, right? My plan was to wait for a down game and trade anything I could to get Victor. I ended up getting Giannis. So I was gonna send like Giannis and Evan Mobley in another piece just to get Victor Wembanyama. Like, that's when I talk about outliers, the little secret for y'all, when I talk about outliers, I do whatever I can to get the outliers. Almost anytime I can. Whatever I can, I'll give up a lot of shit to go get an outlier. So this little J-Hand tip is like, you can make up the 15-point, 17-point players. You can make that up. You cannot find the outliers. It's tough to find guys that can get you 3 blocks, 2 steals, 25 points, 15 boards with 6 assists and 2 threes on 45% shooting and 75 from the line. Like, you just can't find that. Another thing I want to talk about, the gambling stuff. Y'all see that with the NBA and the gambling stuff? I don't want to go too much into that, actually. I'm not going to talk about that. That's a huge scandal, though. Like, huge scandal in the NFL. I mean, the NBA, excuse me. Huge scandal in the NBA. Huge scandal. Terry Rozier, do I want to talk about that right now? Y'all want to talk about that? No, I'm not going to talk about that. I'm not going to talk about that. What I do want to talk about, though, is Jrue Holiday. Sorry, I told y'all some of this is going to be clips. I'm not talking about Jrue Holiday right now. I'm too tired for all that shit, bro. I'm about to come on another stream and do it. I got my one basketball clip in, Wemby. I got a good Wemby clip in. I'm about to come back for the hoop clips, bro. If I'm being honest with y'all. I've been on this stream for an hour and 30, bro. We got football on tonight. I'm gonna have to come back for the hoop stream, man. Unless y'all got specific hoop questions in fantasy. Hey, EA, if you guys got fantasy hoop questions, let me know. I was about to drop a Jrue Holiday sleeper. I think Jrue Holiday is real. Matter of fact, because Jrue Holiday, he got traded to Portland, and people didn't know what was going to happen with Jrue Holiday. Like, if he was going to stay, if he was going to hold out, if he was going to get traded. But, like, when it comes to Jrue Holiday, like, he was dropping like 24, 7, and 7 with the steals in preseason. And I picked him up in both leagues I was in. I was like, if you remember, like, Jrue Holiday is a top 25, 30 player when he wasn't with Boston. Like, Jrue Holiday is an elite level player and was asked to do less on a team where they didn't need him to do as much. But when he was with the Pels, like, Jrue Holiday was a special cat. That's not normal. So when you're talking about a player who could probably drop 23 to 25 points a game for a Portland Trailblazers team that really doesn't have a whole lot, even when Scoot Henderson does come back, to couple that with like 2 steals a game, probably 5 boards, 5 assists a game on really good percentages with a 3.5 a game, low steals, he's an efficient player. If you're looking for sleepers in your fantasy basketball league, find a way to get Jrue Holiday on your team before it's too late. I think he's gonna have a nice run here. And like Jrue Holiday, it's just easy to forget like who Jrue Holiday was as a player, even though he's a little bit older now. And we're seeing in Portland, like, because they don't really have a whole lot there. Donovan Clingan and you don't have a lot of weapons. Denny Avia, like, that's what we're talking about. I think when it comes to like Drew Holiday, it's a sneaky pickup in not just in points leagues, category leagues, and also in Yahoo's new high score league too, or the lock-in for sleeper, whatever one you play on. Fan and Henry Schultz with no Nico. Fan and Henry Schultz. I probably go Henry, then Fan, and then Schultz. And I got you. You said I appreciate you getting on here for us when I know you could be out and about. Yes, I could be doing a little bit, but I also love doing this. I love doing this shit, man. Love doing this. To be honest with y'all. Otherwise, I would have just packed it up and went on vacation the whole time. But I love doing the shit, like talking fantasy. And like I said, I don't do enough hoop talk. Like that's one thing I don't do. So start T over Lad or Keenan. I don't want to start both, but I have before. But I ain't feeling it this week. Start T over Lad or Keenan. I would just start T this week. Probably over. To be honest with you, probably over Lad. Lad is just too like up and down, man. I probably go T over Lad for the upside. You get upside and floor. T and Keenan. So listen, y'all. Hey, I'm about to get out of here. Hopefully, y'all found some value out of the show. Went over all the games. Talk some NBA. A little light NBA. I want to do more NBA though. Trade advice. Whatever y'all got for me, man. Hit the comment section. If I didn't get to you guys, I'll probably see you guys sometime next week. So good luck in your matchups. If I can't get here Sunday, good luck in your matchups, and I will see you guys very soon. Peace out.